Have you ever stood in front of an open refrigerator, the cool air washing over your face, and gazed upon the neatly stacked containers of last night's dinner? There's a certain comfort in that sight, a promise of a quick, easy meal. It's a ritual as American as apple pie. Cook once, eat twice. We do it to save time, to reduce waste, to stretch a dollar. But what if that simple, sensible act of reheating leftovers was slowly, silently setting the stage for one of the most feared conditions of our later years? What if the convenience of today was chipping away at the clarity of tomorrow? After the age of 70, the landscape of our health shifts. The choices we make, particularly around our diet, take on a new and profound significance. Our bodies become less resilient, and our brains, the intricate command centers of our entire existence, become more vulnerable. Emerging medical science is beginning to draw a chilling line connecting the simple act of reheating certain common foods to an increased risk of cognitive decline and even dementia. This isn't about fear-mongering, it's about empowerment through knowledge. If you're someone who relies on the microwave to bring yesterday's meals back to life, this conversation is one of the most important you'll have about your long-term well-being. Over the next few minutes, we will embark on a deep dive into the hidden chemistry of our kitchens. We'll explore 7 everyday foods that, when reheated, can transform from nourishing staples into potential threats to our cognitive health. I urge you to stay with me on this journey, because by the end, you won't just be aware of the risks, you'll be armed with simple, powerful strategies to protect the precious gift of your mind. Let's begin to unravel these kitchen secrets, one by one. Let's begin with a food often celebrated as the ultimate brain fuel, fish. Reheating a beautiful piece of salmon, mackerel, or sardines might seem like a perfectly healthy choice. After all, these oily fish are lauded for their rich content of omega-3 fatty acids, the superstar nutrients essential for brain function and the prevention of cognitive decline. However, the very thing that makes fish so beneficial is also what makes it so vulnerable. Medical studies have illuminated a rather inconvenient truth. When fish is reheated, its precious cargo of omega-3s can be severely compromised. Imagine the experience of 2 neighbors, Paul and Carl, both enjoying their golden years in a quiet suburban town. Paul, a retired engineer, is a creature of habit and efficiency. He loves to bake a large salmon fillet on Sunday, portioning it out to reheat for quick lunches throughout the week. He zaps it in the microwave, enjoying the convenience without a second thought. Carl, a former high school history teacher, has a different approach. He prefers the ritual of cooking and savors his fish fresh from the pan, believing that food is best enjoyed in its most vibrant state. If he has any leftovers, he'll flake them cold into a salad the next day. As years pass, a subtle but noticeable divergence appears. Paul begins to struggle. He finds himself misplacing his keys more often, losing his train of thought mid-sentence, and feeling a persistent mental fog that clouds his once sharp mind. Carl, in contrast, remains as mentally agile as ever, leading a local book club and fiercely competing in his weekly trivia league. Paul might attribute his struggles to just getting older, but he's unaware that his daily habit of reheating fish could be a contributing factor, stripping away the very nutrients meant to protect his brain. The science behind this is both fascinating and sobering. Omega-3 fatty acids, particularly DHA and EPA, are delicate, long-chain polyunsaturated fats. Their structure makes them highly susceptible to heat and oxidation. When you subject that leftover salmon to a second round of high heat in the microwave or oven, these beneficial fats begin to break down or denature. Their protective qualities evaporate, leaving you with a meal that is a shadow of its former nutritional self. But it gets worse. This process doesn't just remove the good, it can create the bad. The high temperatures can trigger the formation of harmful compounds like lipid peroxides and aldehydes, which are potent drivers of oxidative stress and inflammation throughout the body, including the brain. Chronic inflammation is now widely recognized by neurologists as a key instigator in the development of neurodegenerative diseases like Alzheimer's. So, how can you protect your brain while still enjoying this incredible food? The best practice is to cook fish fresh. Cook an appropriate portion that you can finish in one sitting. If you do have leftovers, embrace them cold. A chilled, flaked salmon salad or sardines mashed with avocado on whole wheat toast are delicious and brain-safe alternatives. By making this small shift, you ensure that every bite of fish is delivering the powerful cognitive protection it was meant to provide. If you're finding this first point insightful and it's making you rethink your leftovers, please take a moment to comment with the number 1 below. It helps me know you're engaged and finding this information valuable. Your interaction truly fuels our mission to create content that empowers your health journey. Moving from the sea to the land, let's turn our attention to something at the heart of the American dinner table: meat. A succulent roast beef, a juicy grilled chicken breast, a hearty meatloaf. These are sources of comfort and essential protein. Reheating these leftovers is a daily ritual in millions of homes. Yet, you might be shocked to learn that this seemingly innocent act can pose a significant risk to your long-term brain health. When meat is cooked, cooled, and then subjected to heat a second time, it undergoes a series of chemical transformations that can generate compounds directly linked to cognitive decline. Scientific research has demonstrated that with each reheating cycle, meat not only loses vital nutrients like B vitamins, which are crucial for neurological function, but the process also fosters the creation of compounds that fuel a fire of inflammation within our bodies. This chronic, low-grade inflammation is like a slow-burning ember in the brain, gradually damaging neural pathways and contributing to the conditions that lead to dementia. Consider the story of 2 old friends, Mike and George, both in their mid-70s, who have been meeting for lunch every week for decades. Mike is a huge fan of his weekend barbecue. He'll smoke a large brisket and then enjoy microwaved brisket sandwiches for the next several days. He loves the convenience, never considering the chemistry changing in his food. George, on the other hand, is more particular. While he loves a good barbecue, he makes it a point to eat his meat fresh off the grill. He believes leftovers should be treated differently, perhaps sliced cold for a sandwich, but never reheated. Over time, their weekly lunch conversations begin to change. Mike starts to repeat stories, struggles to follow the thread of a complex topic, and often seems lost in a haze of forgetfulness. George, despite being the same age, remains sharp, witty, and fully present. What Mike fails to grasp is that his daily reheated meat habit is likely contributing to a slow, insidious buildup of harmful chemicals in his brain, accelerating the very cognitive decline he fears. The primary villain in this story is a group of compounds with a rather ominous name: advanced glycation end products, or AGs. You can think of AGs as a form of cellular rust. They form when proteins or fats are exposed to sugars in a high-heat environment, a process that is supercharged when meat is cooked and then reheated. These AGs are notoriously difficult for the body to clear out. They accumulate in tissues, including the brain, where they promote oxidative stress and trigger a powerful inflammatory response. Neurological studies have directly linked higher levels of AGs in the body to an increased risk of neurodegenerative diseases, making them a significant concern for aging populations. What practical steps can you take? The message isn't to abandon meat, but to be smarter about how you handle it. Try to cook portions that you can consume in a single meal. If you do have leftovers, think cold. Thinly sliced roast beef or chicken breast make for a fantastic sandwich or a protein-rich addition to a salad. By avoiding the second blast of heat, you sidestep the accelerated formation of these brain-damaging AGs. This simple adjustment isn't just a dietary tweak, it's a proactive defense of your future mental clarity. Have you ever relied on reheated meat for a quick meal? Share your experience or thoughts in the comments section below. Hearing your stories helps build a community of learning and support. And if you haven't done so already, please consider subscribing to our channel and turning on notifications. Your support is what allows us to continue bringing this vital health information to you. Now, let's dig into a universal comfort food, the humble potato. Whether mashed, baked, or roasted, potatoes are a beloved staple. It seems perfectly natural to make a big batch of mashed potatoes or bake a few extra spuds to reheat later in the week. But it turns out this convenience can come with a hidden neurological cost. Reheating potatoes, especially those that were initially cooked at high temperatures, can facilitate the presence of a harmful substance known as acrylamide, a compound that has been linked in numerous studies to neurodegeneration. Research has shown that acrylamide forms naturally in starchy foods during high-temperature cooking methods like frying, baking, or roasting. It's the chemical responsible for the delicious brown color and taste. The problem is, reheating doesn't eliminate this compound. In some conditions, it can even increase its concentration. The more you consume these substances over a lifetime, the greater the potential risk to your long-term cognitive health. Let's picture two sisters, Susan and Martha, both 72 years old. Susan finds immense comfort in her creamy, buttery mashed potatoes. She makes a giant pot on Monday and reheats servings in the microwave every other day, finding solace in the warm, familiar dish. Martha, while also a potato lover, has a different philosophy. She prefers to prepare her meals fresh, often boiling or steaming small potatoes and enjoying them immediately. She sees cooking as a daily act of self-care, not a chore to be minimized. As the years roll by, Susan starts to experience unsettling memory lapses. She struggles to find the right words and finds it increasingly difficult to focus on her favorite hobbies, like reading and puzzles. Martha, however, continues to enjoy a sharp and engaged mind. Susan might not make the connection, but her regular consumption of reheated, high-temperature cooked potatoes is introducing a steady stream of acrylamide into her system, a known neurotoxin that could be contributing to her cognitive struggles. The mechanism here is deeply concerning. Acrylamide is classified as a neurotoxin because it can cross the blood-brain barrier and interfere with the normal function of nerve cells. It can damage neurotransmitter systems and has been shown in animal studies to cause nerve damage that mirrors the kind of degeneration seen in age-related cognitive diseases. While a single serving of reheated potatoes won't cause immediate harm, the cumulative effect of regular exposure over many years is what poses the real threat. It's a slow, steady erosion of neurological health. So, what is the brain protective way to enjoy potatoes? Whenever possible, avoid reheating potatoes that have been baked, roasted, or fried at high heat. If you must reheat them, do so gently, at a lower temperature, perhaps in a covered pan on the stove with a little liquid, rather than blasting them in the microwave. Better yet, explore cooking methods that don't produce high levels of acrylamide in the first place, such as boiling or steaming. A freshly boiled potato tossed with olive oil and herbs is not only delicious, but also a much safer choice for your long-term brain health. If these insights about something as common as a potato are resonating with you, let me know by commenting with the number 4 below. It's fascinating how these small details can have such a big impact, isn't it? Your engagement helps us tailor our future content to what you find most compelling and useful. Let's continue. When we think of quick and satisfying meals, pasta often tops the list. It's easy to make a large pot of spaghetti or penne to have on hand for the week. But this common kitchen practice hides another potential pitfall for our cognitive health. While pasta itself isn't the enemy, the act of repeatedly reheating it, especially when it's overcooked or stored with certain sauces, can trigger metabolic processes in the body that are directly harmful to the brain. Research has consistently shown that frequent, large spikes in blood sugar are a major driver of inflammation and are strongly linked to an increased risk of developing dementia. As we age, our body's ability to manage blood sugar becomes less efficient. Our insulin sensitivity can decline, making us more susceptible to the damaging effects of these glycemic surges. Reheating pasta can exacerbate this problem in a surprising way. Let's look at the lives of 2 men, Bob and Richard, both 75. Bob is a traditionalist. He loves making a huge batch of pasta with a rich, meaty sauce on Sunday, which he then reheats for lunches and quick dinners throughout the week. He doesn't think twice about microwaving a bowl for the 3rd or 4th time. Richard, who shares Bob's love for Italian food, has adopted a different habit. He cooks pasta fresh when he wants it, making just enough for a single meal. He avoids having leftovers sit in the fridge for days on end. Over the years, a familiar pattern emerges. Bob starts complaining of feeling mentally sluggish, more forgetful, and finds it hard to concentrate for long periods. Richard, in contrast, maintains his sharp wit and active mind. Bob is completely unaware that his beloved pasta leftovers might be playing a role in the inflammatory processes that are clouding his cognition. The reason reheated pasta can be so problematic is tied to its carbohydrate structure. When pasta is cooked, cooled, and then reheated, its starches can undergo a process called retrogradation, which can sometimes be beneficial as it creates resistant starch. However, when repeatedly reheated or stored improperly, especially with sugary sauces, the simple carbohydrates can become even more readily available, leading to a faster and higher spike in blood sugar upon consumption compared to freshly cooked pasta. This constant roller coaster of high blood sugar and the subsequent insulin rush creates a state of chronic inflammation in the body. The brain, with its high energy demands and dense network of blood vessels, is particularly vulnerable to this inflammatory damage, which has been shown to accelerate cognitive decline and damage brain cells. So, how can you enjoy pasta without putting your brain at risk? The best approach is to cook it fresh and al dente, which means to the tooth or slightly firm. This slows down the conversion of starch to sugar. If you do have leftovers, store them for no more than a day or 2 and consider eating them cold in a pasta salad. When reheating, do so gently and only once. By making these small but meaningful changes, you can transform pasta from a potential metabolic troublemaker into a safe and enjoyable part of your diet, helping to protect your brain for all the years to come. Let's shift our focus to the undisputed champions of a healthy diet, vegetables. We're told to eat a rainbow of them every day, and for good reason. They are packed with vitamins, minerals, and antioxidants that are vital for our overall health. But you may be surprised to learn that how you handle your vegetable leftovers matters immensely. Reheating vegetables, particularly through harsh methods, can strip them of the very nutrients that are supposed to be protecting your brain. Studies have shown that reheating can cause a significant loss of essential nutrients, especially water-soluble vitamins like vitamin C and the B-complex vitamins, as well as powerful antioxidants. These compounds are your brain's first line of defense against oxidative stress and inflammation, two of the primary culprits behind age-related cognitive decline. When vegetables are cooked, stored, and then reheated, their nutritional potency can plummet, and in some cases, they can even form less desirable compounds. Consider the habits of two health-conscious women, Alice and Patricia, both 74. Alice is a big believer in meal prepping. On Sundays, she roasts large trays of broccoli, bell peppers, and zucchini to reheat for lunches during the week. She believes her microwaved vegetable medleys are a cornerstone of her healthy lifestyle. Patricia, on the other hand, prefers her vegetables as fresh as possible. She might lightly steam some green beans or chop up a crisp, fresh salad for each meal, avoiding leftovers as a general rule. Over the ensuing years, Alice begins to feel a pervasive sense of fatigue and notices her memory isn't what it used to be. She feels like she's doing everything right, yet her mental clarity is slipping. Patricia, meanwhile, continues to feel vibrant and energetic, with a mind that remains clear and focused. What Alice doesn't realize is that by reheating her vegetables day after day, she is consuming a nutritionally depleted version of them, effectively robbing her brain of the essential tools it needs to defend itself against aging. The reason for this is nutrient degradation. Many of the most powerful brain protective compounds in vegetables are incredibly delicate. Vitamin C, for example, is highly sensitive to heat and oxygen. When you roast broccoli and then reheat it 2 days later, a substantial portion of its vitamin C and other antioxidants may have already been lost. You might be eating the fiber and the bulk, but you're missing out on the microscopic powerhouses that fight cellular damage. The good news is that the solution is straightforward. Prioritize fresh vegetables whenever you can. A quick salad, a handful of raw baby carrots, or lightly steamed spinach takes only minutes to prepare and delivers maximum nutritional benefit. If you do cook extra vegetables, try to use gentler reheating methods, like a light steam or a gentle sauté over low heat, and do so only once. Your brain thrives on a rich supply of nutrients, and ensuring your vegetables are as fresh and vital as possible is a direct investment in your cognitive future. If this information about vegetables has been an eye-opener for you, hit the like button on this video. It's a simple way to let us know that this deep dive into the science of food is helping you make more informed choices for your health. Next on our list is a global staple that finds its way into countless meals: rice. Reheating rice might seem like one of the most benign things you can do in a kitchen. But what many people don't know is that if handled improperly, leftover rice can pose a legitimate threat, not just to your digestive system, but potentially to your brain health over the long term. The issue centers around a resilient type of bacteria called Bacillus cereus. Studies in food science have extensively documented the risks of this bacterium. Unlike many other germs, Bacillus cereus forms spores that can survive the initial cooking process. If cooked rice is left to cool at room temperature for too long, these spores can germinate and multiply into active bacteria. When you reheat the rice, you might kill the bacteria, but you won't destroy the heat-stable toxins they have already produced. These toxins are what cause food poisoning, but the bigger, more subtle concern is the impact of low-level, chronic exposure to them over time. Let's imagine two seniors, Tom and Bill, both in their early 70s. Tom is meticulous about food safety. When he makes rice, he cools any leftovers quickly and stores them promptly in the refrigerator. When he reheats it, he makes sure it is steaming hot all the way through. He enjoys his meals without issue, staying physically healthy and mentally sharp. Bill is a bit more relaxed. He might leave the pot of rice on the stove for a few hours after dinner before putting it away. Sometimes he just warms it up slightly before eating it.
Over time, Bill starts to experience more frequent bouts of mild digestive upset, which she dismisses. More troublingly, he finds himself feeling confused more often and notices his short-term memory is becoming unreliable. What Bill doesn't connect is that the improper handling and reheating of his rice could be contributing to a state of chronic, low-grade inflammation fueled by bacterial toxins that is slowly but surely impacting his cognitive function. The mechanism is simple but insidious. When these toxins enter your system, they can trigger an immune response and inflammation. While a single instance might not have a lasting effect, repeated exposure over years can contribute to the systemic inflammation that is a known risk factor for neurodegenerative conditions. The brain is not isolated from the rest of the body. What affects your gut can and does affect your neurological health. So, what is the safe way to handle rice? The rule is to cool it fast and reheat it hot. Never leave cooked rice sitting at room temperature for more than an hour. Get it into the fridge as quickly as possible. When you're ready to eat it, reheat it until it is piping hot throughout, which means an internal temperature of at least 165 degrees Fahrenheit or 74 Celsius. By being diligent about this process, you can safely enjoy leftover rice without exposing yourself to these hidden risks, ensuring that this simple food remains a nourishing part of your diet, not a threat to your mind. If you're still with me and finding this information valuable, please comment with the number 6 below to let me know you're here until the end. Your dedication is inspiring, and it tells us we're on the right track. And if you haven't subscribed yet, this is a great time to do so and hit the bell icon so you never miss our future deep dives into health and wellness. Finally, let's ladle up our last topic, soups and stews. There is nothing quite as comforting, especially for older adults, as a warm bowl of soup or a hearty stew. They are easy to eat, hydrating, and can be packed with nutrients. Making a large pot to enjoy over several days seems like the epitome of smart, cozy cooking. However, repeatedly reheating these liquid meals can introduce risks to your brain health, particularly when they contain certain ingredients.
Soups and stews that are rich in creams, dairy, or fatty broths from meat are the primary concern. When these dishes are cooled and reheated multiple times, the fats and oils within them can undergo a process of oxidation. This process breaks them down and can create unhealthy compounds and free radicals that promote inflammation. And as we've established throughout this discussion, inflammation is the persistent underlying threat to the long-term health and integrity of our brain cells. Let's picture our final pair, Frank and Larry, both in their early 80s. Frank loves the convenience of his perpetual stew. He makes a huge batch of creamy beef and barley soup at the beginning of the week and simply reheats a bowl every day for lunch. Larry, while also a fan of soup, prefers to make smaller batches that he can consume within a day or two. If he has extra, he freezes it in individual portions to be thawed and heated only once at a later date. As time goes on, Frank starts to feel increasingly forgetful. He experiences moments of confusion and a general lack of mental energy that he can't seem to shake. Larry, in contrast, remains clear-headed and engaged in his hobbies and social life. Frank would never imagine that his comforting daily bowl of reheated soup could be contributing to the very cognitive decline he's experiencing. The chemical changes happening in that pot are invisible, but their effects are not. When you reheat a creamy or fatty soup, the fats are exposed to heat and oxygen again and again. This leads to lipid peroxidation, a process that creates free radicals, unstable molecules that rampage through your body, damaging cells, including the delicate neurons in your brain. This oxidative stress, combined with the inflammatory response it triggers, places a significant burden on the brain's ability to function and repair itself. Over time, this cumulative damage can accelerate the aging process of the brain and increase the risk for dementia. The good news is that the solution is wonderfully simple and doesn't require giving up your favorite comfort foods. If you love making large batches of soup or stew, portion them into single-serving containers and freeze them immediately after they have cooled. When you want a bowl, you can thaw and reheat just one portion, just one time. This prevents the repeated heating and cooling cycles that degrade the fats and create harmful compounds. By adopting this cook once, freeze, reheat once method, you can enjoy all the comfort and convenience without compromising your most vital organ. Now that we have journeyed through these 7 common foods, let's pause and reflect on the powerful knowledge we've gained. The way we prepare and handle our food, especially our leftovers, has a far more profound impact on our brain health than most of us ever realized. From the delicate omega-3s in fish to the bacterial toxins in rice and the inflammatory compounds in reheated meats and soups, the chemistry of our kitchen is directly intertwined with the biology of our brains. But the key takeaway from all of this should not be fear, but empowerment. Most of these risks are entirely avoidable with a few simple, mindful changes to our daily habits. If you've already noticed some signs of cognitive decline, or if you simply want to be proactive in preserving your mental acuity, now is the perfect moment to take action. Start by being more conscious of how you store and reheat your food. The guiding principle should always be to favor freshness. Cook smaller portions when you can. When you do have leftovers, think of creative ways to enjoy them cold or with minimal, gentle reheating. A little planning can make a world of difference. Remember, your brain's future is not predetermined by the meals you've eaten in the past. What truly matters is the very next choice you make. The small adjustments you implement today can compound over time, building a powerful defense against cognitive decline and helping you maintain a sharp, independent, and vibrant life for many years to come. By making informed decisions, you are not just reducing your risk of dementia, you are actively investing in your quality of life. Thank you for joining us on this important journey today. We would be incredibly grateful to hear from you. Please leave a comment below and share the one thing you learned today that you plan to incorporate into your own life. Your insights and commitments are a source of great motivation for us and for everyone else in this community. Don't hesitate to share your thoughts. If you found this video helpful and enlightening, please show your support by giving it a like, subscribing to our channel, and sharing it with anyone you think might benefit. Your support is the lifeblood of our work and enables us to continue creating content that informs and inspires. Thank you for watching, and we look forward to seeing you in the next video.